After the shocking events of Episode 3, the Dance of the Dragons has reached a turning point. Every victory now comes with a terrible price. Every alliance is beginning to crack, and every character is being forced to choose between loyalty, ambition, and survival. The latest preview for House of the Dragon Season 3 Episode 4 suggests that Westeros is moving closer than ever to an all-out war. The Blacks are under increasing pressure, the Greens continue strengthening their position, and the next battle could change the course of the entire conflict. In today's video, we'll break down everything shown in the official preview, analyze what it could mean for the major characters, connect it to George R.R. Martin's world where appropriate, and explore some of the most convincing fan theories. We'll also separate confirmed information from speculation so you know exactly what's official and what's simply a prediction. Before we begin, if you enjoy House of the Dragon breakdowns, theories, and episode analyses, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest uploads. Now, let's dive in. By the end of Episode 3, one thing had become clear: this is no longer a conflict that can be settled with negotiations. The early stages of the Dance of the Dragons were dominated by political maneuvering, secret alliances, and calculated moves. But as the war grows, those quiet conversations are giving way to open confrontation. Every lord is being forced to declare where they stand, and every delay gives one side a chance to strengthen while the other falls behind. For Rhaenyra, that pressure is becoming almost unbearable. As the leader of the Blacks, she has to think beyond the next battle. Every decision affects the loyalty of noble houses, the confidence of her supporters, and the morale of her own council. Winning a single fight means very little if it costs the kingdom's trust. That's what makes Episode 4 so interesting. The preview doesn't focus only on armies or dragons. Instead, it hints at the weight of leadership. Rhaenyra appears less concerned with winning one battle than with winning the war, and those two goals are not always the same. The Episode 4 trailer wastes no time reminding viewers that the war is accelerating. Several brief shots show military preparations, urgent meetings, and worried expressions from characters on both sides of the conflict. While trailers often avoid revealing major twists, they're designed to build tension, and this one emphasizes uncertainty more than action. One of the strongest impressions is that no one appears completely confident. Instead of celebrating victories, nearly every major character seems to understand that the next move could determine the future of. Rhaenyra is shown in discussion with her advisors, listening carefully before responding. Rather than rushing into battle, she appears focused on weighing the consequences of every option available to her. That reflects one of the recurring themes of the series: the difference between power and wisdom. Anyone with a dragon can destroy an army. Far fewer people can build a lasting peace afterward. One of the reasons House of the Dragon has resonated with audiences is that its conflicts are rarely simple. The characters aren't choosing between good and evil. More often, they're choosing between two terrible options. If a ruler acts too cautiously, they risk appearing weak. If they act too aggressively, they risk becoming feared instead of respected. That tension seems to be central to Episode 4. The trailer suggests that Rhaenyra is facing exactly this kind of dilemma. She cannot afford to lose momentum, but she also understands that reckless decisions can cost innocent lives and undermine the legitimacy of her claim. Whether she ultimately chooses caution or decisive action, someone will almost certainly pay the price. Although the Blacks still possess significant strength, their position is becoming more complicated. Their supporters expect victories. Their allies expect leadership. Their enemies expect mistakes. Meeting all three expectations at once may prove impossible. The preview hints that discussions within Rhaenyra's camp are becoming increasingly tense. Different advisors may advocate different strategies, reflecting the reality that even loyal supporters often disagree on how to win a war. That's one of the show's greatest strengths. Political disagreements don't necessarily mean betrayal. They often reveal that intelligent people can reach very different conclusions when faced with the same crisis. Few characters divide opinion as much as Daemon Targaryen. To some viewers, he remains Rhaenyra's greatest asset: fearless, experienced, and willing to do whatever the situation demands. To others, his unpredictability makes him almost as dangerous to allies as he is to enemies. The trailer doesn't reveal exactly what Daemon will do next, but his presence continues to loom over every major decision. If Rhaenyra chooses patience, will Daemon support that decision, or will he believe that hesitation simply gives the Greens more time to prepare? This difference in outlook has always been one of the most fascinating aspects of their relationship. They want the same outcome, but they often disagree about the path that leads there. That philosophical conflict could become just as important as the military conflict unfolding across Westeros. While much attention naturally falls on Rhaenyra, the Greens are also adapting. Wars are rarely won by the side that reacts more quickly. They are won by the side that continues adapting over weeks and months. Episode 4 appears ready to remind viewers that Rhaenyra's opponents are thinking several moves ahead, whether through military planning, political alliances, or psychological pressure. Every decision made by the Greens is intended to weaken the Blacks before the next major confrontation. That means episode 4 may be less about spectacular action, and more about positioning the pieces for the battles still to come. Sometimes the most important episode isn't the one with the biggest dragon fight. It's the one that quietly determines why that fight happens in the first place. As you watch episode 4, pay close attention to the conversations rather than only the action. Notice who speaks first during council meetings. Watch whose advice is accepted and whose is ignored. Pay attention to facial expressions after difficult decisions are announced. House of the Dragon often reveals future conflicts through subtle reactions long before characters openly challenge one another. Those quiet moments frequently become just as important as the battles themselves. Episode 4 looks poised to deepen the political and emotional stakes rather than relying solely on spectacle. The official preview emphasizes uncertainty, leadership, and the heavy burden of command, suggesting that the choices made now may echo throughout the rest of the season. One of the biggest misconceptions about ruling in Westeros is that having the largest army, or the most dragons automatically guarantees victory. Throughout the history of the Seven Kingdoms, we've seen powerful kings fall because they failed to earn the trust of the people around them. Others ruled successfully not because they were the strongest, but because they inspired loyalty when it mattered most. That is the position Rhaenyra finds herself in as episode 4 begins. She isn't simply trying to defeat her enemies. She's trying to prove that she deserves to be queen. Every decision she makes is being watched by her allies, her enemies, and even those who have not yet chosen a side. The official preview hints that the pressure on Rhaenyra continues to grow. Her council appears deeply engaged in discussing the next phase of the war, and while everyone shares the same goal of defeating the Greens, that doesn't necessarily mean everyone agrees on how to achieve it. History has shown that wars are often lost because of disagreements inside a kingdom rather than attacks from outside it. Could the Blacks be approaching that point? When we first met Rhaenyra, she was a young princess determined to prove she was worthy of becoming heir to the Iron Throne. She dreamed of ruling differently, inspired by her father, King Vice. Now, years later, that dream has collided with reality. Every victory comes at a cost. Every loss strengthens the enemy. Every life she risks is another burden she'll carry. That emotional weight has become one of the defining aspects of her character. Unlike some rulers who embrace war without hesitation, Rhaenyra understands that every order she gives will affect thousands of lives. That doesn't make her weak. If anything, it makes her decisions even more difficult. The trailer reinforces this idea by showing a ruler who appears thoughtful rather than impulsive. Instead of acting out of anger, she seems determined to consider every possible consequence before making her next move. Winning battles is difficult. Keeping powerful allies united may be even harder. The Blacks are made up of experienced lords, skilled commanders, dragon riders, and advisors with very different personalities. Each of them believes they understand what must happen next. But what happens when those opinions begin to clash? The preview doesn't reveal the full conversations taking place inside Rhaenyra's council, yet it creates the impression that difficult discussions lie ahead. Some members may favor immediate military action. Others may encourage patience. Still others may believe diplomacy can still prevent greater bloodshed. Each option carries enormous risks. If Rhaenyra moves too slowly, her supporters could lose confidence. If she moves too quickly, she could walk directly into an enemy's plan. That balancing act is one of the most compelling aspects of her journey. No discussion about the Blacks would be complete without Daemon Targaryen. Few warriors in Westeros inspire as much fear, or as much uncertainty. Daemon has always believed that strength is meant to be used. He rarely hesitates when action is required, and he often trusts instinct over prolonged debate. That mindset has brought him remarkable victories. It has also created serious problems. One of the most fascinating questions heading into episode 4 is whether Daemon and Rhaenyra remain completely aligned. They both want the Iron Throne. They both believe the Greens have usurped the crown. But wanting the same destination doesn't always mean agreeing on the same road. If Rhaenyra chooses caution, Daemon may see it as hesitation. If Daemon pushes for aggressive action, Rhaenyra may worry about the long-term consequences. That difference doesn't necessarily mean conflict between them, but it certainly creates dramatic tension. Whenever viewers think about House of the Dragon, dragons naturally come to mind. They are magnificent, they are terrifying, and they remain the greatest military advantage either side possesses. Yet the series constantly reminds us that dragons are not magical solutions to every problem. A dragon can destroy an army in minutes, It cannot rebuild a burned village. It cannot restore political trust. It cannot erase the grief of innocent families caught in war. This is one of the reasons the Dance of the Dragons is such a tragic story. Every time a dragon takes flight, someone loses everything. Episode 4 appears ready to explore that reality even further. Rather than presenting dragons simply as weapons, the story continues asking a deeper question. Just because you have the power to destroy something, should you? Throughout the series, we've seen characters celebrate victories that later proved incredibly expensive. A battle won today may create problems that last for generations. That's why experienced rulers rarely focus only on the next fight. They think about what happens after the battle ends. Will the surviving lords remain loyal? Will ordinary people continue supporting their ruler? Will today's allies become tomorrow's rivals? These are exactly the kinds of questions Rhaenyra appears to be asking herself. Whether her advisors share those concerns remains to be seen. One of the saddest realities of the Dance of the Dragons is that neither side can completely trust the other anymore. Every messenger is questioned. Every alliance is tested. Every promise carries suspicion. The result is a kingdom where fear spreads almost as quickly as armies. Even people far from the battlefield understand that the conflict will eventually reach them. This atmosphere of uncertainty gives the series much of its emotional power. The war isn't affecting only kings and queens. It's affecting every family living in Westeros. Sometimes what's missing from a trailer is just as important as what it includes. Television previews are carefully edited to build anticipation without revealing the biggest surprises. That means some of Episode 4's most memorable moments may not appear in the trailer at all. Unexpected character interactions, political betrayals, shocking announcements, or emotional conversations that reshape relationships. Fans should remember that trailers are designed to raise questions, not answer them. Now let's move into a clearly labeled prediction. One possibility is that Episode 4 introduces an unexpected decision or alliance that neither side anticipated. Throughout the history of Westeros, wars have often turned because of one surprising choice by a single individual. That doesn't always mean betrayal. Sometimes it means a lord declaring support for the opposite side. Sometimes it means someone refusing an order. Sometimes it simply means choosing mercy instead of revenge. The series has repeatedly shown that individual decisions can alter the course of history. Of course, this remains speculation until the episode airs. By the end of Episode 4, viewers may not receive every answer they're hoping for, but they should have a much clearer understanding of where the war is heading. The official preview suggests that the conflict is becoming larger, more dangerous, and increasingly personal for everyone involved. While much of the attention has been focused on Rhaenyra and the Blacks, it would be a mistake to underestimate the Greens. One of the biggest themes in House of the Dragon is that neither side sees itself as the villain. Both believe they are fighting for the future of the realm, and both are willing to make enormous sacrifices to achieve victory. As Episode 4 approaches, the Greens appear determined to keep the initiative. Every move they make is calculated, and every victory, no matter how small, strengthens their claim in the eyes of those still waiting to choose a side. The official preview suggests that the conflict is entering a more dangerous phase. The time for hesitation is fading, and both factions know that the next major decision could shift the balance of power. No character has changed more dramatically over the course of the series than Aemond Targaryen. Once dismissed and underestimated, he has transformed into one of the most formidable figures in Westeros. His confidence, military mindset, and willingness to take risks have made him both respected and feared. Unlike his older brother, Aemond often appears more focused on the long game. He understands that wars are not won by emotion alone. Planning, discipline, and timing are just as important as strength. That is why every appearance he makes in the trailer carries weight. Even when he says very little, his presence reminds viewers that the Greens have a capable strategist who is always thinking several steps ahead. However, confidence can easily become overconfidence. One of the biggest questions surrounding Aemond is whether his belief in his own judgment could eventually lead him into a dangerous mistake. History is filled with brilliant commanders who lost everything because they believed they could never be defeated. Could Aemond face the same fate? Only time will tell. War is not fought only on the battlefield. It is also fought inside castles, council chambers, and private conversations. Few characters understand that better than Alicent Hightower. Throughout the series, Alicent has carried the enormous burden of protecting her family while trying to preserve some sense of stability in the kingdom. Her choices have often been controversial, but they have rarely been simple. As the conflict grows, Alicent finds herself surrounded by powerful personalities, each with different visions for the future. Some demand immediate action, others seek